Hello, viewers. This is Chandrakala Chaudhary from ETV Bharat. Well, our own neighbor nation, Bangladesh, is facing instability and a lot of protests and chaos is undergoing there in the country. Well, the question now is who will lead Bangladesh from here on after the coup was pulled off against former Bangladesh Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina. Joining us is her son, Sajeeb Wazed. Many thanks for joining us at this critical juncture where your country as well as your own family is going through lots. Well, Sajib, my first question would be, of course, how is she? Did you speak to her in the last few hours? What is she up to, and where she intends to go? Because there are a lot of reports and a lot of assumptions being made as to where she's heading towards, because she's in India right now. The Indian government is taking all kind of measures to ensure safety and security of our former Bangladesh Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina.
Thank you very much for having me. I've been speaking with her every day. She's in good spirits. She was obviously very disappointed at first and shocked. She didn't expect this. None of us expected this. But now she's in good spirits. She's in touch with our party people. She's deciding what to do next. Our priority, both from her and from us, from me, is to because attacks had started against our party. Our first priority is now to ensure the safety of our people. Law enforcement, because of the attacks on them, they've all gone into hiding as well. But since we are the largest party in Bangladesh, we have the manpower. We are now mobilizing our own manpower to protect our own people. In terms of my mother's future, there are a lot of rumors going around. Let me assure you, those are all rumors. She has not applied for asylum anywhere in the world, not any country. And she has not made any decision on where she's going to be. What she really wants is to ultimately go back to Bangladesh. I mean, whether it's now or a few months from now, once democracy is restored, whether to be active in politics or not is irrelevant. Her goal was this was going to be her last term, and she was going to go live in her village home, retire. And that is ultimately what she wants to do.
Well, the question that is in everyone's mind, of course, we have been following Bangladesh politics and how has been the nature of Bangladesh politics. Of course, we have seen the foreign policy of Bangladesh so far. And after ruling for 15 years, this is something which comes as a shocking news for the entire international community. She had to flee from her own country, of course. Tell our viewers as to what actually led to the protests, what actually happened that this was the decision made at last.
So this is what's sort of shocking for us as well, that the protests, no matter how many of their demands we met, they kept escalating ultimately, from quotas to resignation of government. So how it started was actually not even because of an action of the government. We had quota protests several years ago, and our government had reduced the quotas. What happened this time is there was a lawsuit against the government action reducing quota, and that lawsuit went to the court, and the court made a ruling that it would have to be appealed to the Supreme Court, but pending that appeal, we are reinstating the quota. So it wasn't the government of Bangladesh that reinstated the quota. It wasn't our government at all. It was a legal process. And so when the protest started, our government's response was, look, it's going to go to the Supreme Court. Our government was actually fighting it. Our government was arguing for what the students wanted at the court to reduce the quota. So our government was already in support of the quotas, their demand. And so for them to continue the protest was unexpected. But I think at that point, there was some groups, maybe one, maybe more, maybe foreign actors trying to incite the protest. So when we agreed to their demands and we said, hey, we are fighting this in the Supreme Court, you'll get a ruling, quotas will be reduced again. one group and until then, the protests were peaceful. Our police were guarding the protesters. There was no violence whatsoever.
So there
Then
are a lot of,
in the middle of the night on July 15th, some groups started marching at Dhaka University chanting, "We are Rajakar, we are Rajakar." They
Okay.
took one of my mother's statements. My mother had made a statement that we don't
Yeah.
want Rajakar families getting government jobs.
Right.
They twisted that to say that my mother's called the students Rajakar. She did not. So, and marching in the middle of the night, chanting, "We are Rajakars," that incited our students. And that is what caused the confrontation between our students. Now, it wasn't right of our students to attack the demonstrators, but that is what happened. Those slogans of Rajakar, "We are Rajakar," angered our student supporters.
So there were a lot of reports coming in that, this was a mistake done by, I would just like to confirm as to what exactly happened, because a lot of the reports coming in that it was a mistake on the part of the Hasina's government that, the deployment of security forces and also some activists from your own political party, especially from the students' wings, got involved with the protesters, which actually triggered the whole.
That is what caused the
violence.
deaths and the violence on both sides, yes. But that is exactly what I'm telling you, is that we didn't intentionally deploy them. They were incited by those slogans in the middle of the night. The situation went out of control because of that. The government didn't order the police to shoot students at all. In fact, our government suspended the police officers that used excessive force. Police were instructed to stop the violence. And unfortunately, it was a violent situation and some police members ended up using lethal force. We did not order them to do that at all. We would not do that.
And also the fact that many foreign hands are at play. This is what we are like, there are a lot of reports claiming that there are like some foreign pressures coming in, which led to the ouster of your mother. So what would be your take on that?
It wasn't foreign pressure. I think it was foreign insurgency. So if you'll notice that in social media, there was immense activity, twisting everything my mother said or whatever, the court ruling into blaming the government, and also inciting the students to chant, or you see, we don't even know who led the slogans of "We are Rajakar" in the middle of the night. So this to me tells me that someone was trying to incite this. And finally, even after our government accepted all of their demands, everything had been met. We moved up the Supreme Court ruling so that the quota was overturned immediately. We formed a 3-member judicial committee to investigate all the deaths. We suspended all the police officers that used excessive force. And my mother then invited the student protesters to come sit with her. Even after all of that, that is when they escalated to demanding resignation of government. So
even Yunus's name is in the, we have seen a lot of reports and a lot of information coming in that, even America might be involved in it. The Pakistan ISI. Your idea regarding this, what do you think about it? Like, what exactly?
Well, I'm convinced. I don't have any evidence, but I'm convinced ISI was involved, because once they started agitating for the ouster of the government, they started attacking police stations. And the people attacking police stations were armed with guns. Now, the only way you get guns, it's very difficult to obtain guns in Bangladesh. So they were supplied by somebody. And the only actors capable of supplying weapons into a country are foreign intelligence services.
So today the interim government is taking oath. Of course, Mohammed Yunus, he's back in Bangladesh, and he's taking. There will be a oath taking ceremony of the interim government. What do you expect from the interim government, and what is going to happen, going forward? Because this is something very unfortunate that the government has fallen and the military rule has.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's well, it remains to be seen. Let's see how he governs. Right now there is no law and order in Bangladesh. The police have basically quit because they were being attacked, so they're afraid to put on the uniform. And so the police and because they've been blamed so much, the police have completely quit. Throughout the country, it's complete lawlessness. There's looting, robberies going on everywhere. armies deployed in Dhaka city. So a few areas of Dhaka are peaceful, but even in Dhaka city, many neighborhoods, there's looting going on. People are now out on the streets guarding each other's properties because there is no law and order. So uh, Dr. Yunus is talking about a new independence, a second independence. Well, let's see if he can even restore law and order first. We shall see. It remains to be seen how capable he is. And then, of course, the question is, I mean, the whole situation right now is completely unconstitutional. So the question is then the Constitution, it has to be returned to a constitutional situation as soon as possible, which means restoring democracy as soon as possible. You see, the transition should have been that my mother's plan was she would resign, Parliament would hold a new election, there would be a smooth transition of power within the Constitution. But because the mob was approaching the Prime Minister's residence, we all, her security forces took her to safety. And then I was the last one. My mother was refusing to get on the helicopter. My aunt put me on the phone with her to convince her to get on the helicopter and go because they will kill you. I am the one that pressured my mother to leave. They're disappointed. I mean, these students say they're pro-democracy, and pro-Bangladesh. Well, they've been desecrating the Father of the Nation's memorials. They burnt down his home, the house, which is now a museum, where the Father of the Nation, my grandfather, and 17 members of my family were murdered in cold blood. They burnt that house down. Even after the coup of 1975, the killers who killed my family, even they did not burn the house down. These protesters did. And so if they love Bangladesh, and if they're actually democratic, and they, this is not the actions of a pro-Bangladesh, freedom-loving people. These are the actions of a mob. It's just a
You talk about your
mob.
You talk about your party, Awami League. Of course, it's one of the most oldest party in Bangladesh. Is there a coming back? Is Hasina ji coming back?
Awami League is always going to be back. Look, in any democratic system, you end up with two main parties. In Bangladesh, you have the Awami League and the BNP. Bangladesh has 170 million people. Awami League still has tens of millions of supporters and followers. If anyone thinks that the Awami League is gone, it does not happen. It does not happen overnight. So Awami League if you have free and fair elections, I'm confident Awami League would still win today. Because if you look back at the last 15 years, people are going to remember it as the golden period of Bangladesh. The most economic development that has happened in the history of Bangladesh. No other government has been able to develop it the way our government has. No other government kept Bangladesh as safe and secure as our government did. So people of Bangladesh are going to regret kicking out Sheikh Hasina very soon. It's already started. Many people who supported the student movements and were advising me, yeah, perhaps it's time for your mother to resign. They're now saying, oh no, we need the Awami League back. So,
are you joining politics somehow, probably to carry on the legacy further?
I have never had political ambition. I have never wanted to. But at this point, I cannot, especially with the attacks on our party people, until then, I had decided we are done. But once I learned about the attacks, I said I cannot abandon our party people. So do I want to be in politics? No, but I will do whatever it takes to keep my people safe and restore democracy. So
let's talk about the India-Bangladesh relationship.
Unfortunately, I'm going to have to go because can we make this the last question? Because I have another.
Yes, absolutely. We could talk about the India-Bangladesh relationship. Now we have seen how India has quickly responded to Hasina ji's request. How do you see this? Because Bangladesh has been quite sensitive when it comes to our security concern, India's security concern. Sheikh Hasina ji has always been sensitive about our security concern. How do you see this, especially when it comes to the border issue between the two countries now? What would be the consequences going ahead?
Consequences would be what was there before Awami League and Sheikh Hasina, which is unfortunately our opposition, the BNP Jamaat, especially Jamaat, they are allied with Pakistan rather than India. And so during their term, ISI and Pakistan had a free hand in Bangladesh to support the insurgency in India. And they also were attacking the minorities to try to drive minorities out of Bangladesh. So I'm hopeful. Mrs. Khaleda Zia made a very promising statement that the past is the past, and she does not want to follow the path of vengeance. I am of the mind of that. Look, you and I, we are the two largest parties in Bangladesh. We're always power is going to swing back and forth between us from time to time. There is nothing else to do. We both have our supporters. We're both not going anywhere. We cannot eliminate each other. Neither do I want to. So let us not allow insurgency in Bangladesh. But the only way we can guarantee it is if the Awami League comes back to power. Other than that, there are no guarantees for India.
All right, Sajeeb, thank you so much for joining us.
I appreciate it.
Thank you so much.